That's 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline, the Moon Griffon shows who roll through the great state of Louisiana. Actually, parts of Mississippi and Texas and Arkansas as well. Great to have you with us. You know, we have a Secretary of State's race. With us, joining us is interim Secretary of State, Mr. Kyle Ardoin, joining us. Kyle, how you doing?
Doing fine, Moon. How are you?
I am doing superb. Okay, you're in the race. And, of course, I know some people made a big deal about you saying you weren't going to run. You got in the last second. Just talk about why now? Why do you think that you decided, well, you know what, I'm going to stay in this? I want to be the next Secretary of State. Talk a little bit about that. Because the only reason I'm asking you to do that is because people have brought it up to me. I've read. Some people say it's a credibility, all that stuff. But just talk about what made you want to get in the race.
Well, Moon, I got a lot of calls over the last several days of before qualifying and during qualifying. My wife and I prayed about it. We visited with our family about it. We're talking elected officials, appointed officials. We're talking about friends. We're talking about family. We're talking about political people who are all making calls and texts and whatnot. And so the pressure kind of mounted, and so I said, am I missing something? Letty and I prayed about it. I visited with my pastor, Father Randy Cuevas, and we prayed about it, discussed it, visited with my daughter, Skyped her with it, and she just said, "Dad, you're doing the job. You know the job better than anybody else. Why wouldn't you run?" And that really sank home with me. It is such an important office. People don't realize it. But whenever the next person takes over, they go right into qualifying for the spring elections. We have spring elections in March and May, and then boom, we're hitting the gubernatorial election right after that, qualifying in August. There's really no time for on-the-job training. And so I'm very passionate about this office. I'm committed to this office, doing the right thing. I've been working in it for 8 years now, and there's nothing better than I want than to make sure that this office continues to succeed in all the things that we've done and can do better.
Yeah. By the way, Kyle Ardoin, who's the interim Secretary of State right now, as you know, Tom Shedler stepped down and you became the interim Secretary of State. Election is this fall. What is it, October, November runoff or November, December runoff? I can't remember.
November, December, okay. November 6th and December 8th.
Well, yeah, you got the congressional races and it's the federal race, and so that y'all kind of got swept in that. And then the following year, it's going to be in October, November when it comes to the governor's race, which, by the way, really the only governor's race next year. A lot of them are happening this year. So that's going to really be, tell you what, I look for that race, the governor's race, to probably somewhere around $40 or $50 million. I thought the left wants to hold a leftist in there, and the Republicans want to win it back. We got redistricting, coming up in a year or two later. So I mean, it's going to be a very, very, very big race. This would tell people what job, what's the total job description would you describe as a Secretary of State that you mentioned on the job training, what people will have to do?
Well, first and foremost, the Secretary of State is the Chief Elections Officer for the state. He or she is responsible for implementing the election process all across the state, working in conjunction with the clerks of court and the registrars of voters. So it's a very important job. We're responsible for maintaining the voting equipment. We're responsible, in fact, we're in an RFP process to buy new voting equipment, and we'll have to be implementing that beginning next year. It's time to replace some of our aging equipment, and that's an important part of this process. We're also in charge of the corporate filings. Anybody wanting to do business in the state of Louisiana comes to the Secretary of State's office first. We created and doing a great job with GoBiz. It's a one-stop shop. We basically will collect all the information for Department of Revenue and Workforce and the Secretary of State's office. We're working to expand that as we speak. And then we have the archival function. We have the notarial function. And we have museums. We have the Louisiana State Exhibit Museum in Shreveport, the Old State Capitol here in Baton Rouge, and then a few small museums scattered throughout the state.
Yeah, okay. So a big job. Let me ask you a question. We read a lot. Of course, I read a lot, and you hear a lot. George Soros and the left really made the Secretary of State's positions all over the country big elections, and the fact that they can do a lot of things. You mentioned it, all the things that you're in charge of. Is that a concern with you? if anybody trying to win this particular election, just to turn around and make it such a political position that they do things that really harms the way our election process works?
I think I think you're right. Well, I know you're right. Soros is making another attempt to take over various states, secretaries of state, because they realize the importance of implementing election policies. I mean, there are, small decisions that can be made throughout the process and throughout the election or leading up to the election that could change the way things are done. And the reality is that we need to make sure that we're doing it in a nonpartisan way. But I can assure you, I'm a conservative, and I'm going to do it the right way from the get-go, as I've been doing all along. I'm very committed to making sure our elections are pulled off with honesty and integrity and fairness to all. And by the time the election results are in, there's going to be winners, there's going to be losers, but everybody needs to feel like the election was fair to all.
Yeah. Kyle Ardoin, my special guest, he is the interim Secretary of State. He's decided to run for the Secretary of State's position, which we will vote on in November and December. They've already qualified. You either in or you're out. Kyle, one other thing, too. When you are Secretary of State, what powers do you have? Now, when I say that is, you can't just change a rule or law. That comes from the legislature. Is that correct? I mean, you can't lobby for things, I guess, that you would like to see change. Am I correct by saying that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been, as first assistant, I've been headlining a lot of the legislative package that we have. We make a lot of technical changes to the process as we see changes that need to be made. And then the other important, really important part is we've got to make sure that foreign influence is not tainting our elections. We've worked really hard to educate voters all across this state that, the Russians influenced the presidential election vis-a-vis Facebook and social media. The new threat is now China. We've got to stay on our toes, and I've been on the forefront of this, been involved with the National Association of Secretaries of State. I've been to Washington, been in the meetings with the senators and congressmen that are making decisions on these issues, and we've been pushing. Don't upset the apple cart just because the political system has been hacked. Yeah. The election system is still secure, and we are maintaining that day in and day out. We're on top of this, and I'm not going to let that go. I was honored to be appointed upon Tom Shedler's resignation by the national president of our association to replace him on the elections committee. We worked really hard. We're working with Department of Homeland Security. I'm not letting them take over our elections process, but we'll partner with them. We're going to make sure that every vote is counted, every vote is secure, and I can tell you the Louisiana people can count on me because I've been doing the job thus far, and I'm going to continue doing it.
Let me ask a question because I heard one of the candidates, Julie Stokes, they asked her a question about was she for same registration and vote the same day, which I'm totally against. I think it's ridiculous. If you don't have time to go register to vote, you can't do it the day of. She wouldn't even answer it, which scared me right there with her. But the fact of the matter is, what about registering that day and voting that day? I know people want to have all this. We got all these ways to register to vote, which I believe has hurt the system, not helped it. That's just my opinion. But what about registering and voting the same day? I think it's a horrible idea. Where do you come down on that?
Absolutely against it. Okay. If you want fraud, introduce that.
Stokes was asked this question and she would not answer it. And I thought, wow, you won't answer that and you consider yourself a Republican. That's why I brought it up. I said, well, hell, I asked A.G. Crow. He was on with us, I think, yesterday, Brandon, or the day before. And I want to ask the candidates, where do you stand on this? Because I think it's a horrible idea. I'm glad and Crow did too, and I'm glad you do too.
If an 18-wheeler was coming at me and they said be for same-day voter registration and voting, I'd let the 18-wheeler run me over before I succumb to that.
Yeah, but there's a group out there to the left. There's a group out there to the left that really wants that, Kyle, and that blows my mind. A Republican candidate like that won't even answer that question.
It should be answered. It should definitely be answered because everybody needs to know where the candidates stand on these issues. It's just too important to the integrity of the election process.
Oh, no doubt about it. But on something like that, would that have to be a change coming from the Secretary of State? Would that be something that have to be changed through the legislature?
That would be a change through the legislature.
Okay.
But, the Secretary of State can have influence on those debates and those
Absolutely.
issues. And I've been fighting that since the get-go. And I'll continue to fight that.
Yeah.
And automatic voter registration as well. I just think that's crazy. That really creates a problem for our voter registration rolls, and it creates potential problems for fraud.
I don't think you ought to take the stance I'm getting ready to tell you, but I think we ought to have less ways to register. I think people ought to have to go to a registrar's office and go register. I don't think we ought to have more. I'm being honest with you, because the percentage of people that are registering compared to voting is actually decreased. It's a lot less, but I think some of the registrations are just all these registration drops that we have. So having less people registered don't mean we would have less people voting. It mean we'd have a bigger percentage of registered voters voting, in my opinion.
Well, let me say this. We're in a state with over 86% of all eligibles registered to vote. Mm-hmm. You can't get much better than that. I think we're the top in the top 3 in the nation, and still our participation rates are lower. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. Kyle Ardoin, interim Secretary of State, who's running for the Secretary of State in the great state of Louisiana. Hey, Kyle, one of the things that's just talking to people about elections and voter fraud and all that stuff, they always want to know why we don't have a paper trail on ballots anymore. And I'm just throwing this at you. Is that something concerns you, doesn't concern you? Because really, when you think about technology and Russians or China or anybody else, if you had a paper trail, that's pretty much in that. But everything's technology now. If we ever and I got another question, but what about that? What about paper trail and things of that nature? Is that just not important anymore? Because a lot of people feel like it is.
Well, Moon, ironically, 15, 20 years ago when we were purchasing new equipment, the big thing was get away from paper. And so we went to the what's called the DRE machines, the current machines we use for early voting and for Election Day. But now we're right back where we were. And, of course, the liberals have this big push, all paper ballot. That's going to solve everything. Well, that's the technology of the 1800s. But I will tell you this. Our current RFP that we're waiting to be released from the Division of Administration, we are working on putting forth what's called a VVPAT, a Verified Voter Paper Audit Trail. Mm-hmm. So our hope is that the voter will be able to mark their ballot on the machine. They'll be able to see in some format a physical copy of that, and then they can cast their ballot and then put the piece of paper will go into an automatic bin for an audit trail after post-election. Yeah,
to me that's fair. Number two is if you got any kind of, remember the Woody Jenkins Landrieu deal, if you'd have had anything like that, I think you could have maybe found out what really happened. Maybe I'm just saying.
That's exactly correct. So we're going to have the best of both worlds. We're just going to have to be able to get the funding to implement that. But I've secured several $1 million in the last session to be able to start that process, and we've already pulled down the federal dollars that were made available in the omnibus bill that was passed earlier this year. So we're really excited. We should be able to start this process in the spring, and which is another reason why I want to stay on the job. I think we're going to be implementing it, and I don't think we need on-the-job training for that piece either.
Well, a quick question. Make a statement. It's impossible for a foreign government to come into Louisiana and affect the elections of the actual vote. That's a true statement, false statement. What do you think?
That's a false statement. Our machines are never connected to the Internet.
No. What I was saying is, I probably worded it wrong, but I mean, it's no way for them to touch the actual vote in any state, probably, come in and touch the vote and change it. Is that a true statement? I mean, there's no way for them to do that. Is that correct?
That's what we believe. That is correct.
Okay. But I don't think any state, even the President Obama said there's no way for somebody to do that. But yet, they got to deal with collusion and Russia and all that. But that's why I'm asking the question. There's really no way to do that.
The whole debate centered around the election infrastructure, and really it's the political system that was hacked.
Yeah, I agree.
The Democratic National Committee and others, and then all the social media. That's really where all the influence and the quote-unquote hacking was. The votes were never in jeopardy and have not been in jeopardy, and there's been no evidence to show contrary that any votes were compromised.
But if you talk to somebody on the left, they'll say votes were stolen. How can people get in touch with you, Kyle?
225 335-1783.
All right. If you get a website, you got a website or something going yet?
Yes, Kyle Ardoin for SOS.com.
All right.
KYLEARDOIN, good Cajun name, the number 4, SOS.com.
All right. Good luck to you. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you, my friend.
Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it. Hotline when we get back. I'll deal with the economy. I told y'all what Bill Edwards and them were going to do. I told y'all what the media would do. We've been a negative GDP for 2 years. We finally got a GDP that's growing again. Nothing to do with Bill Edwards. Nothing to do with his policies. And they sent out these little press conference things that just they spin and lie. But I will tell you the truth. It's just amazing. And look, I want the economy to do well here. I want it to, but you got to remember, they're getting ready to release some numbers that may show us that we grew at 5% last quarter, the country. Well, Louisiana's going to come up, but we're still dragging at the bottom by far. But they're going to spin it now, and that's just what they do. It's a lot of Washington politics, and a lot of Washington media has come down in Baton Rouge, and Gannett and Jim Beam and them, and they act just like them. Anyway, before we go to the next subject, and I want to show you what Republicans do when they get beat, let's go to James in New Iberia. James, how you doing?
Yeah, hi, Moon. Listen, that person that was just now on talking to you, he said that the integrity of the voting machines there's no problem with them, no way that anybody could get into them. But motherboard.vice.com, they put out articles about computers. They're all about computers. Mm-hmm. And just recently, they put out this article where it says, top voting machine vendor admits it installed remote access software on systems sold to the state. Mm-hmm. And it goes on to say that the nation's top voting machine maker has admitted in a letter to a federal lawmaker that the company installed remote access software on election management systems it sold over a period of 6 years, raising questions about the security of those systems and the integrity of the elections that were conducted with them. And it goes on and on. And they can do this from remote. They don't have to plug into the machine. They can actually do this from their home. Wow. It's crazy.
Well, and so that's why one of the reasons I asked Kyle Ardoin, who is the interim Secretary of State now, he just got it in the last year when Shedler stepped down. I don't know if it was 3 months ago, 8 months ago, a year ago. I know he's been in the department a while. That's why I asked about paper ballots, because I would like to see some kind of paper ballot come back, and the fact that we can always go back and check the paper ballot as being factual. Now, look, if we don't have honest elections, this country's headed for hell in a handbasket. It really is. I know they've done a lot of things in Louisiana to stop a bunch of stuff, but the fact of the matter is, and I know things happen, and what you're reading, I'm not arguing with you. I don't know that. I know we got to have honest elections, and that's important. But I'd really like to see a paper trail. I think a paper trail will give you the backup that you need.
Yeah, it goes on to say, it says, ES&S is the top voting machine maker in the country, a position held in the years 2000 and 2006 when it was installed using PC Anywhere on its system. And the election management systems are not the voting terminals that voters use to cast their ballots, but are just as critical because they sit in county election offices, and they contain software that in some counties is used to program all of the voting machines used in the country. The systems also tabulate final results aggregated from the voting machines. So the votes can be manipulated.
Yeah. Well, I'm not arguing with you. I just hope a lot of that's not true. But like you said, the guy that put it out. I mean, it is what it is. So, all right, appreciate the call, James. Appreciate it. All right, now we're gonna play this. Yesterday in Georgia, a governor's race. Remember, we had one 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, and two Republicans, Scott Angel and Jay Darden, just went berserk, and especially Darden. And, so Darden sold his soul for $237,500 a year. His retirement's going to jump from about 8 or 9 to about 16, 18,000 a year. And instead of them rallying behind Vitter, they helped take Vitter down. We all know that now, Brandon. That's what happened. We saw it. We saw crybabies. We saw wusses We saw yellow belly sapsuckers in the Republican Party. Jay Dardin was always that way. And Angel just turned to Republican. So yesterday in Georgia, there was a governor's race. And President Trump got involved. Okay? Brian Kemp, backed by Trump, won a Georgia GOP gubernatorial runoff. In other words, closed primaries, folks. Okay? And closed primaries. Now, Brandon, I think this thing's, about a minute maybe?
It's about 2 minutes.
Okay, let's take a look at how the loser, the one that got beat, okay? Let's take a look. Brian Kemp won. Trump backed him. Now, he's got to go face the Democrats still. But he went against a guy named Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle, okay, who outraised Kemp 2-1. Had gigantic endorsements. And Trump went out there and endorsed the guy. Now, the guy lost. This is a Fox News Alert story. Listen to it, and we're going to listen to the guy who got beat. Here we go.
This is a Fox News Alert results coming in tonight from a big runoff election in Georgia. Republican voters choosing a nominee for governor. And once again, the president is figuring heavily into the campaign. Jonathan Seri is live tonight in Athens. Good evening, Jonathan.
Good evening, Shannon. Brian Kemp says that President Trump's endorsement late on in this race was perhaps the most significant factor leading to his victory in this GOP runoff election. The victory was decisive, Kemp defeating Casey Cagle by roughly 70% to 30%. Kemp now hopes to unify his party as he goes into the general election campaign against Democrat Stacey Abrams.
Blood sport sometimes, and you have to get over it quickly, move on, because we got a big fight ahead of us. This will be a national race with Stacey Abrams.
In the Republican primary, Casey Cagle was the target of a secret recording. Both candidates faced a barrage of negative ads. But now that it's all over, Cagle is ready to rally support behind his party's nominee.
Bingo! Watch, listen.
I congratulated him on a wonderful race and obviously a great victory. And I committed to him my full, undivided support to see that he will be our next governor of the state of Georgia. And I want each of you to do the same thing.
All right, and that's how you need. Now, Brandon, all right, I'm trying to cut this thing off.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good. They're not listening anymore.
All right. Now, a guy gets whipped. You heard, Brandon? They had some nasty campaign, tape recordings of this. I mean, it was rough. Unlike Dardin and Angel, guy got behind him. And what did Dardin and Angel never called Vitter? Because the deal was cut with the honor code governor, who has no honor. The honor code governor, the deal was cut really before the runoff, before the election, the first round. They cut the deal. They knew exactly what they were going to do. Look at the class this guy had. Look at the no class Dardin and Angel had in Louisiana. And Dardin's actually the co-governor, and his chip came in at $18,000, $18,000 a year for the rest of his life at his $237,500, and all he's got to do is last to when he started the job 3 years at the highest pay. And his retirement kicks in. Look at the class. We went from the Georgia class to the Louisiana ass. I mean, gee whiz. Look. You're laughing at Como. And these are the people running the state because people bid into the Dardin and Angel, and they bid in all that crap. And so we got this tax and spend liberal who, by the way, if he's reelected, it's 4 more years of tax and spend. Because we got weak Jay Dardin-type Republicans like, people like Julie Stokes, Nancy Pelosi of the state of Louisiana, who gave money to Dardin. Mark Moe taxes Abraham. Who's the little senator here? Paige Cortez. Paige Cortez, big tax and spend liberal. Republicans like that. But look at the difference from class to what. There's a big difference. And that was a tough fight. Go back and look at the recordings and the commercials. Dawn and RJ used to cry, Vitter's beating on me. And Vitter didn't run a good campaign. I'll be the first to tell you that. I tell that to Vitter. Concentration should have been on Bill Edwards. We knew it was a liberal's liberal. But see the difference between you get your butt whipped in a tough campaign, you say, hey, I'm going to support him. By the way, they keep saying Donald Trump is dead. Donald Trump is dead. Down to killing Donald Trump. Donald Trump goes in there and the guy wins about 60, almost 70-31. 69-31. Almost got 70% of the vote. But by the way, it wouldn't be 70-31, Brian, because that'd be 101%. Of course, could get there. But look at the difference of class, man. A big, gigantic difference of class versus that. What we saw in Louisiana 2.5, 3 years ago. Big difference. All right, we got to take a break. More to come, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. By the way, in Oregon, Brian, Oregon, the Republican is now tied with the Democrat. Okay? Supreme Court nomination, Democrats stalling for delay Kavanaugh's vote. Brandon, that's Republicans' fault. I'd call a meeting next week for the hearings, and I'd vote next Friday and be done with it. I wouldn't give the Democrats. Folks, you can't give the socialist Democrats one step, or we will fall behind. We got to take a break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. I'll be right back. Listen to me. Listen to me. Where's the wisdom? Can you see? Listen to the Moon Griffon show. Let it be. All righty. I guess that recording offer still hadn't come yet. I'm Brandon. I saw the phone.
And it never will, Moon. Never will.
I saw the phone ringing when I came on. I thought, there it is. There's my big opportunity.
No.
Nope. Okay.
I think they hung up, actually, when they heard you singing. So
actually, they did.
Yeah, if you want me to be honest with you.
All righty, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. All right. Louisiana sees higher economic growth in first quarter. Governor says economy steadily improving. And I told y'all this was going to happen. When you're at the bottom, you have one way to go. Mm-hmm. Okay, you only have one way to go, and that's up. We've been at the bottom since he's been there. Medicaid is devastated. It's the highest taxes. I don't know if y'all know this or not. And I'm going to read Governor Edwards' statements, how he cut taxes, by the way. The first 2 years, he raised $2.8 billion in taxes. I'm giving you the numbers. Last session, 7 years, okay? 7 years at almost $500 million. If you multiply that, that's $3.5 billion in new taxes. Governor Bill Edwards, okay, has raised $6.3 billion in new taxes since he's been in office. Y'all understand what I'm saying? $6.3 billion in taxes. He's got the audacity to say that he cut taxes. I'm just telling you how this works. The press, Jim Beam, Tyler Bridges, Idiot Monroe, Hilburn, the Times-Picayune, the Advocate, these people have no clue, but they really do. Washington Press has moved here. They've made Edwards' reelection, okay, they've made it what they've made it. That's what they want. What they say, they don't care about the truth. And neither does Edwards. There's no honor code in politics. I don't know how many times I could tell you that. There is no honor code in politics. I wish there was. I wish there were real honor code in politics. Man, I wish it happened every day, but it doesn't. So when they talk about economy, look, one of the things that I read is that our economy may be, I'm talking about the United States economy, they're getting ready to show at the end of the week at 4.6 or maybe 5% growth in the first quarter. First is, I guess we're getting ready, we're in the third quarter now. So the state of Louisiana with a negative GDP since Edwards took office, and he helped establish it with the Medicaid and the tax increases. This is what he's done. We have no choice but to go up at some point. I mean, it's just naturally flowing way behind everybody else, but naturally flowing. So I said when they put stuff out, they're gonna grab their angles and they're gonna put them out there and they're gonna shove them in your face and shove them in your face. They're not gonna worry. Like, give you an example. Today, the newspapers, I saw it on KATC last night, economy positive, and they talked about it. But they never talked about the out-migration problem that just came out. They never talked about how our unemployment went up, with only 2 states going up, 2 or 3 states going up. Everybody else's unemployment is either stable or went down. The press is not going to tell you the rest of the story. They're not going to tell you oil and gas industry is basically left here, but they're part of the oil and gas industry that's here. And I was told this by the industry. Now, Moon, because of the price of oil and things that are moving, we're starting to hire a few people now. Edwards has nothing to do with that. He has more to do with the people moving out than moving in and creating these jobs. People in the oil and gas industry know what I'm talking about. But this is the spin. They're not going to give you the real information. They're only going to give you the information they can shove down your throat. And that's what they're doing. When they start saying, we got more people working in Louisiana than ever, what does that mean? Minimum wage jobs? Unemployment rates were lower in June in 9 states, higher in 3 states. We were one of those 3 states. Okay? So if the GDP has gotten a little better, by the way, we have the 3rd highest unemployment rate in the country. But they don't want to talk about that. They brought up the thing the other day, 37,000 new jobs since June of last year. Well, I got the stats from June of last year, and our unemployment rate went up. Our migration is continued to be big, and they listed 32 states where things were better in the economy. 32 states, and we were not listed. We were not listed. So, what does the governor do? Exactly what I thought he would do. What did the press do? Exactly what I told you they would do. Here's Governor Edwards' release. Today, Governor Bill Edwards released the following statement on an announcement from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and Gross Domestic Product grew in the state of Louisiana first quarter at a rate of 2.3%, faster than any other 35 states. But here's what they don't tell you. Those states have been growing for 2 years. Those states have been booming for 2 years, so their growth may slow down a little bit. We had last place to go up. That's all we have. He won't talk about that. He's raised $6.3 billion in new taxes, which hurt us. He says, no doubt, economy is improving. It's improving because it's a natural thing. Donald Trump gave us corporate tax breaks, and that's helped people in this state, not Bill Edwards. Bill Edwards took, along with his Democrats and the help of some of these Julie Stokes Republicans, they took our tax breaks. Never thanked us either. He says, for years, budget instability has threatened the state future, but those days are behind us, folks. They're projecting $1 billion budget deficit in 2 years, which will be the first year of the incoming governor, the new incoming governor. They're not talking about that. Matter of fact, I forgot who said that. I don't know if it was Robert Travis Scott. Somebody brought that up. He says, today more Louisianans are working than ever before. We have lowered, this is the one that I'm telling you, blows my mind, and there's no honor code. We have lowered taxes on the people of our state. Folks, they increased taxes $6.3 billion from the day he got in 7 years forward, starting this month. $6.3 billion in new taxes. That's the fact, Jack. $6.3 billion in new taxes. He's telling people we have lowered taxes on the people. This is what they did. They increased the taxes by $6.3 billion from the time he got in, and for the next 7 years, from the time he got in for the next 7 years, $6.3 billion, and he's telling people he cut taxes because they lowered the taxes that they increased by 1 cent to the 0.45. And he's calling it a tax break because he knows the press will run with this. Bill Edwards, that's an outright lie. Overall, here's the question. Have you increased taxes or decreased them? And if he doesn't say he increased them, he's a liar. And the press that writes this is lying just as much as he has. I mean, you got to be honest about this stuff. I tend to be honest about it. People get mad at that. You can get mad at it, but I'm going to stick to honesty. What the governor's talking about, telling people he decreased taxes, that is a joke. That is laughable to tell people, I decrease your taxes. Overall, did you decrease, increase? He increased it by $6.3 billion from the time he got in at 7 years from right now. That's what he increased, along with the Democrats and the weak Julie Stokes Republicans. Mark Abraham, more taxes. We'll be right back. Hi, hello, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show, great to have you with us. If you'd like to be part of the program, always the Hickson Has It hotline, 844-766-6607. Hickson Has It hotline. And you can be part of the program. Let's jump gears. Let's talk about business. Let's talk about some fun business. One of the best ones we like to have a lot of fun with is our friends at First South Farm Credit. Mr. Brett Munson joined me. Brett, how you doing, bud?
Moon, I'm good. How are you today?
Man, I am doing beautiful. I just, my audience knows we just got back from Alaska, and I was looking at it's just funny because I know you're in Monroe. I was looking at Monroe and Lafayette because I lived up there a long time. I was checking out the weather. And when I saw that 112 and 115 heat index in the areas that I used to live in and live in now, I laughed because I was waking up. It was 58 and 56.
Yeah, I think Friday, it was 118 at one point in time, and I like to think I'm a smart guy, but instead I spent all of Friday outside playing golf and just miserable. But, I guess every once in a while we just got to do it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was laughing. I was going, I'm waking up. I would walk about 3 miles every day on the boat. So I'm outside on the boat. You got wind, the waves, and all that stuff. And so 58 could turn into 48 real quick. And I'm walking literally in a kind of a sweatsuit with a sweat top, another jacket on top, and I'm walking, and I'm looking at it. It's 2 hour difference. So it's in temperature at 7 o'clock in the morning versus what y'all were at 9 this time. Y'all were already hitting 90. I said, wow, I can't wait to get back to that weather.
Yeah, no kidding. Hurry up and get back. But it's only 86 outside right now, so I'm not too mad at it today.
Yeah, no, it's cool. We're in a cool now, 94 today. So anyway, Brett Munson, First South Farm Credit. But one thing you do know, y'all do know property, y'all know land, and that's what y'all specialize in. Talk a little bit about what First South Farm Credit can do for people, especially people looking to buy land, make an investment in acreage, and for whatever the reason they want, you the guys to talk to. Talk a little bit about what y'all do.
Yeah, Moon, and you said it. We're the experts when it comes to financing a rural piece of land for just about any reason, whether it be a rural home site or an investment of timberland or somewhere somebody just wants to go hunt or maybe build a family camp. We're here to finance it for you first and foremost and find a good package for you and a good way to get it done that fits you best. But, we can help you find it too. If you need some assistance in just finding something that fits what you're looking for, we can point you in the right direction there as well. Yeah,
and the thing about y'all, I call you a one-stop shopping center for people that want to invest in buying land. And the fact y'all can help them look at land. You can go in there and tell them what the land's worth. You can tell them if they've timber to sell. Maybe it's a lake. Maybe it's a hunting lease. Whatever they're looking for, y'all can do that as well. So you can help them from the beginning to the end for the financing for sure. But you guys can go out and really help them look at the land, see what it's worth, and see what else that land is worth for its crops and things of that nature.
Yeah, we can. There's such a wide variety of land around here. Some has timber, some doesn't. Some may be pasture for cattle operations, anything of the sort. And we can just help you get a feel for what you're looking at and help you get a feel for what maybe would fit your needs best. You tell us what you have in mind, and we can help figure it out with you. We also partner with great people that we can bring in to give even more details if needed. So we do. We kind of pride ourselves on being an expert from the beginning of the process to the very end.
Yeah, well, and that's what I tell people, one-stop shopping centers. So, hey, can you help somebody that says, I really want to invest in some rural property, some land like that? Do y'all have listings? Can y'all send them in the right direction to find maybe what they're looking for? If they say, hey, I want something in northeast Louisiana, I want something in the northwestern part of the state or whatever part of the state you're talking about, because y'all cover everything?
Yeah, we do. And, at the end of the day, we're not the one that's actually selling the land, but we certainly we certainly keep up with what's going on in our respective markets, so we know what's out there, we know what's available, and we know how to help you get in touch with the people that can get it lined up for you, and we'll make sure that we get you in the right direction every time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Okay, what's the best way to get in touch with you guys? You got offices all over the state, but what's the best way for somebody to find out how close that office is to maybe where they are, if they would like to come and sit down and go face-to-face?
Yeah, well, we got 13 locations all across the state, so we're going to be near you wherever you are. But if you go to our website at firstsouthland.com, you can find out where the nearest location is to you, or you can call 1-800-955-1722, and that will put you in touch with your local office.
Well, no doubt about it. Y'all the guys that talk about y'all, all the land experts, from finding it to checking out exactly what they're buying to the financing and everything. That's kind of a great place to be, and y'all do such a wonderful job with good people.
We do. We enjoy working with the people in our areas. You know, all of our customers are great, and we really enjoy what we do, and that makes it easy for us to help people out.
No doubt about it. All right, Brett, appreciate it. First South Farm Credit. Check them out, folks. These people are the real deal. Thank you, Brett.
Have a good one, Moon.
All right,
bye-bye.
Bud, thank you. All right, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Just a couple other things on the economy. You know, I told y'all this would happen. You're going to have some improvement. Everybody else around us is booming. So we're going to improve, but it's not a policy Edwards and Dorton put in place to make this happen. Matter of fact, they hadn't changed anything but raised $6.3 billion in new taxes is what they've raised, with the help of all the Democrats and some weak-minded Julie Stokes. And, you know, you got Ron Chandler raising tax and voted for every tax he ever came across. You know, you got the Paige Cortezes in the Senate, the John Ilarios, the Bubba Cheneys. I mean, these people just are not. Frank Hoffman, he came from the bureaucrats. Now he wants to run for Senate. People in Monroe, West Monroe probably put him in the Senate so they can increase even more taxes. So it is what it is. But for him to put out, we have lowered taxes on the people of our state, when I know for a fact, and you do too, that they've increased taxes $6.3 billion from the time they got in to add 7 years, which would be 2025. $6.3 billion in taxes. I'm not counting fees. I'm not counting fee increases. I'm not counting any of that. To sit here and say you lowered taxes, that means Edwards would have to sit here and say he lowered taxes over $6.3 billion. If you ask him, he might tell you he did that, because the other lie was at the start of the year from him was that he cut taxes $645 million, which we all know that was a bogus lie. There was never anything cut. And Jay Darden himself said, I wouldn't say that. But that's not what you're going to get. I told you what was going to happen between now and next year's election. Any economic development, any news, GDP, whatever, which had to go up, it was negative. The whole thing was negative. It had to go up. Okay, but the other states have been booming. We're not booming. Oil and gas, I talk to people in the oil and gas industry. There's some hiring going. A lot of it's going to Texas. But visiting with somebody the last 2 nights, they said, no, we're trying to hire some people here now. I was told by our legislature, so you know, Moon, I'm down in the oil and gas industry, and that, you know, there's going to be some hires now. You're going to see go up. I see, yeah, and he'll take credit for it, and the press will give him credit for it. As they sue the oil companies, and next March, it's supposed to be the case. I personally think they'll put the lawsuits against all companies, I think they're going to put it back. Not forward, back to after the election. They cannot afford to watch the oil companies get hit with this lawsuit during the election year. I think they'll push them back. And we're not out of this yet, you know. So when I see this, I warn y'all. I told y'all this was coming. It was easy to watch because of the way our press, not all the people in the press, mostly in the printed press, TV stations, they just run what comes over the wires most of the time. And I know somebody's going to say, you don't even like when the economy's getting better. The economy's not gotten better. GDP is better. The GDP is better because the whole country is pulling us up. That's a fact. But for the governor to say cut taxes, I mean, that's, think about what he said. We have lowered taxes on the people of our state. When did he do that? Well, I know you had a sales tax. We lowered it from 1 cent to 0.45. Yeah, after you raised it 1 cent. Brandon, how much you want to bet? They lowered it a little bit more than 0.5 cent for the next 7 years. But add what they added and add what they got to $2.8 billion in the first 27 months. How can he sit here and say, you think your taxes have been lowered on the bill?
Nope.
Matter of fact, when you got your Trump tax cut, how'd that feel?
Well, for one paycheck, it felt pretty awesome. And then after that,
that's what everybody
the state government jumped in and got some of theirs.
My brother called me and said, how you like this? He said, I got a pay increase. And then, boy, boom, it was gone to the state. I said, Bell Edwards, Democrats, and some of them really, really good Republicans. You know, them Mo Taxes Abraham, those type guys. So, just letting you know, this is just the start of what to come. Shoved down your throat. And the people that have a lot of apathy, they'll bite it. They'll buy into it. And the political types, they'll buy into it. All right, got to take a break. More to come. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, it's your opportunity to be a voice. By the way, I got several text messages, Brent. I actually have another email asking me about the August sales tax. You know, they used to do that for hurricanes, or they used to do it for back to school or whatever.
Yep.
I don't remember what all of them were. Well, that's gone by the wayside. Mm-hmm. That's gone. When the legislature, led by the governor, voted for the new taxes, when they got rid of the 1 cent sales tax, they got rid of the sales tax holidays. Had a friend of mine wanted to buy a generator and was asking, well, can I just wait till the sales tax holiday to get a break? It's a big ticket item. No, you can't. That's gone. For 7 years, there is no sales tax holidays. That means it probably never will come back. But there's no sales tax holidays. And by the way, it's not a 7-year deal, Brandon. It's a lifetime deal. It's just they're either going to keep that tax, add that tax, or add an income tax or something to it. It's not a 7-year tax. It's a forever tax.
I love how right when the news came out, you had people that were obviously for Governor Edwards and on the side of all this. They came out and said, well, if you spend X amount of dollars, it's only this little bit amount of savings. And you know what? That's fine if you want to look at those numbers there. But when you talk about saving people money on something, it motivates people to go out and buy. Like if you have a coupon on something, it motivates you to go to that business and give them your business. If you have where you have the opportunity to pay less taxes, especially in our environment where we pay so much, that motivates people to go out and buy.
And y'all do, because me and you talk all the time about life. Yeah. We don't just talk about politics, but you talk about just your wife. Mm-hmm. Y'all take advantage of all the deals around here that got discounts and all that stuff. And say, I remember before y'all went on y'all trip, you said, look, we didn't want to have to do dishes and all that for a couple, 3 days. We decided to go out to eat, but guess what? We were eating really cheap because I got this discount, this discount. Yep. Okay, I'll use the perfect example of this. Stein. Stein is the original we'll pay the sales tax guys. They started the whole thing, and they got the legislature to go along with it. As long as they paid the tax, it wasn't a problem. So Stein has a sale, then they have no sales taxes when they do theirs, and they got another one coming up around Labor Day. Yeah. And so guess what? People take advantage of it.
Look, Stein was there for me when I needed a new lawnmower. You know what? It just so happened I needed a new lawnmower right around the time they were having their sale. Went in the Stein, they took care of me.
But think about this. Governor Edwards and the press are so desperate on making sure government has way more than it needs. They don't care about the little guy. Think about it, Brandon. They not only got rid of a couple sales taxes, dealing with, I don't know if it's back to school. What was it? There was a couple of them they lost. I know we lost one dealing with hurricanes, that you can go buy all the stuff you need, generators and stuff like that.
Never mind how important that is.
Maybe the other one was a Second Amendment deal. There may have been one for that. But anyway, it's a couple of them that we lost because of this deal, because what happened is the legislature and the governor felt like they need more of your money. So they took it. Okay? Number two, we got an income tax break for 1 week. And then the governor and the legislature took that $350-something million.
Now, so here's the thing with the Second Amendment. They said the local sales tax exemption on the books for the Second Amendment tax holiday will remain. Mm-hmm. So basically, yes. I want to make sure to mention that about the Second Amendment.
But one of them was hurricane and generators and lights and all that stuff. And we lost that. So not only did they take that away from you, they took the income tax break from Trump away from you. But no thank you. See, it's never enough. You realize right now the money they got coming in, when I hear, let me show you another spin from the press and the governor. Oh, now that our budget is secure for 7 years, when you hear that, I want you to remember that lie. Because if I'm still on the air, I'll bring that up in the next couple of years when I say, I thought we were fixed. I thought we were done. Press is going to come back and say, see, we need real tax reform. In other words, we need other ways to take your money to make sure state government is doing good. And by the way, I'm not letting anybody else on that cries about hospitals and all that stuff, cries about nursing homes and hospitals and they're not going to be funded. And they come in here crying when it's the crying time and they don't come back and man up after. When I tell them that, you ain't going to have a problem because what we got is we got so many needy people on the government dole, federal, the United States and Louisiana, it just is never going away until we broke. And that, my friend, is a shame. That, my friend, is a shame. They really think they can keep taking from people and companies and prosper, and it can't happen that way. It never has. Ask the people in Venezuela and Cuba. Ask them in Spain. 25% unemployment at one time. You know, every giveaway social program known to mankind didn't work. And Medicaid expansion has really hurt us. It's not economic development. It's not creating all those jobs. All that, once again, is going to be shoved down your throat. And it's a lie. It's a lie. You cannot base anything on that. And they hadn't fixed one thing, which is a frustrating thing. But they will be coming back. This 7 years. If I've seen it once, I've seen it 1,000 times already. Our budget now secure for the next 7 years. And I go, really? I wonder how that happened. Okay? You know, instability has threatened the state's future, but those days are behind us. Bell Edwards, out of his mouth, those days of insecurity in state budget is behind us, baby. We don't have to worry about that ever again. They're predicting $1 billion surplus, $1 billion deficit year after next in the same budget that Bell Edwards said that's behind us. He's not worried about that. They'll run on that, worry about that his last 4 years. But the problem is he's in his last 4 years. He's in his last year and a half. I feel certain about it. We'll take a break, be right back. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hickson has a hotline if you want to be part of it. But I don't. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Also, Republican challenger pulls even with anti-Trump Democrat in solid blue Oregon governor race. Is there a blue wave coming in 2018? Someone may have forgotten to tell Oregon voters. I just don't see it. I just do not see it. Now, I do think Mueller is going to drop some stuff, and I think he'll drop it before the election. I think Mueller will drop some stuff before the election. They want to affect the election. They want to affect Kavanaugh being the next Supreme Court justice. The Republicans' mistake with Kavanaugh is allowing this process to keep going. Everything you read, Democrats are trying to stop it. Okay? They're trying to stop it. They're trying to stop it. They need more information. No, they don't. The information is just to build a case on how to beat him. It's not an information as well as this guy good or bad. They've already voted for him several times. It's nothing to do with Kavanaugh and his record. It does not have absolutely nothing to do. If tomorrow they announce on Monday we're doing hearings and they trip out, it doesn't matter. If they do hearings in October, no September, it doesn't matter. It's going to be hate. They're not even meeting with the guy. I just read an article, Brandon, when Obama announced his first and second nominee for Supreme Court justice that he got, you know how many days it took McConnell to meet with him? 2 days. I know you're thinking, McConnell, what are you even messing with? I understand that. But the fact is, all the Republicans met with him. Every single one of them. Democrats are trying to destroy this country. That's all they're trying to do. Obama started this. He's the one led the charge against destroying the country. He was going to change the country. We were going to change the country. And they meant change the direction into more socialistic, giveaway, open borders, vote Democrat. And so, it's amazing to watch, but Republicans ought to announce this week we're doing the hearings next week. Democrats need no more time. What would they need time for? They hate him. They hate him because Trump put him up there. Although a lot of the Democrats voted for this man for the appeals court. You realize that? But now all of a sudden he's a bad guy because Trump put him up. So you need to run quick because I don't know what Mueller and what lies when you look at Cohen and flipping. He goes get Lanny Davis. Lanny Davis is a leftist socialist, anti-American person. Big Bill Clinton, big Obama guy. He goes get him for a lawyer because the guy's saying, I'm not going to jail. I'll lie. A lot of them will lie. So it's an amazing thing to watch what this guy's doing. I love the headlines on the Drudge Report, The Rat. Now, here's my question. If you're a lawyer out there, maybe you can help me. If you're my lawyer, what the hell are you doing taping me? How come we tape, Brandon, it seems like we tape Republicans and conservatives, but Hillary Clinton never got on tape, and Obama never got on tape. And it was Obama's Justice Department that caused a lot of the problems. This thing with Mueller, this is no collusion with Russian. It's not going to be. When Ken Starr went after Bill Clinton, that started with Whitewater. And they went to a stained blue dress and a lie, Brandon. That's what this is. This is not about changing the outcome of the election. It never has been. And the lunatic left, nuts up. Trump's numbers are going up. I'm just trying to understand Mr. Mueller, who, by the way, I think is losing credibility by the second. The guy that I think has lost credibility more than anybody in this, in my opinion, Jeff Sessions. And everybody I go, Jeff Sessions. I wish Jeff Sessions would resign. I wish he'd get out the way. He's protecting the deep state. He's the one protecting them. We need somebody new there. He's the one I thought was the best hire of all, Brandon. He's been the one I've been more disappointed in than anybody that I can ever remember. Probably more than Bobby Jindal. And that was a big mistake there. Let's go to Jack and Alec. Jack, how you doing? Welcome to the Moon Griffon Show.
Hey, man, I agree. First of all, I agree with everything you just said. Before I start, I want to ask Brandon something.
Oh, God.
Brandon, time and time again, has talked about you and your repeated use of wearing Speedos.
What? It's the first I hear of this. What?
Anyway, I just want to tell the audience, I personally saw you wear Speedos twice on that
cruise. Are you talking about Moon, right?
It just amazed me your family would say, we just came
let me see if you really saw me with a Speedo. Was I in a pink one day and a yellow one day, or pink both days? That's what I want to know.
I think it was pink both days.
Damn, Jack, you were on a cruise.
Anyway.
I put extra small on the backside anyway.
Man, you have a wonderful family. And we just had a complete blast. It was so much fun, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. I knew it was going to be beautiful and fun. We had such a good group of people, and that kind of made it. The people that went on the trip, and I'm telling you, the people I met on that trip were I just wish they were your best friends. You would see them every now and then. I really do.
That's
They're
right.
Just really that type of people.
I was thinking, I was eating breakfast one morning. This couple from I don't know where they were from in the country. They asked me, they said, "Is everybody on the whole cruise ship from Louisiana?"
Well, that's because we do most of the talking.
That's right.
And not to mention, we had a couple of them that embarrassed us at the comedy show. So anyway, all right, Jack.
Hey, Moon, wait a minute. Listen, Moon, I have something you got to look into here. I was in conversation yesterday with some people from North Louisiana. Is Monroe fixing to have the people vote on a tax? The city of Monroe now, where the money would go to the downtown area and not the rest of the city of Monroe?
Oh, I don't know, man. I've kind of, when I moved, I keep up with a lot of people, but I hadn't kept up with the taxes in Monroe. I just hadn't kept up with it. So you're going to give me a line now.
And also Ruston is fixing to vote on some kind of tax. It has something to do with
no. We got, I don't have to go there. I'm in Lafayette. There's, 19 taxes we're going to be voting on, Brandon? I mean, there's several increases. I don't have to go anywhere. I'm watching it happen here.
Well, listen, let me tell Brandon one more thing. Brandon, your worst nightmare could be if you go on a cruise with 4,000 people and you see Moon with his Speedos on. Have a good day, boy.
Brandon said he can't think anything worse. Let me move on to the next one. Jody on the road. Jody, how you doing?
Good morning.
Yes,
I was listening to you, man, and I agree. Jeff Sessions needs to go. And you know who I think would be awesome in his place? Trey Gowdy.
Trey Gowdy or Jeff Landry? You can keep Jeff Landry in there. Jeff will go get him now. I no doubt about that.
Yeah. I agree. But we need Jeff in Louisiana.
Well, I understand that, but I thought about that the other day. Jeff Landry was, I think, head of the Attorney General Association, and we prayed one Jeff for one Jeff, and I think Jeff would go get him. I think the first thing he'd do, that ludicrous thing of collusion with Trump and stole election. That's not what this is about. This is about busting Trump with paying a hooker or something like that when he wasn't even president and lying about it. And that's all this is. All they got to do is catch him in one lie. It could be about what color shoes he had on at the inauguration, and they'll go for it. And that's all they want to do. So look for Mueller to drop a bombshell, whether it's true or not, and you got a liar. He's going to drop a bombshell before Kavanaugh is sworn in. That's why if I was the Republicans, I'd start next week. You'll see a bombshell next week or the week after whenever they go vote. I promise you, they're going to drop a bombshell. Now the left and the Republican left and the left in the country, they're all excited about it. But the bottom line is I want to know, if you're a lawyer, if you were my lawyer, could you have taped me? Could you use personal information that only us knew with the client attorney privilege? Can you do this? How is that legal? Maybe some lawyer out there can help me out, because I wish they would, because I don't understand how it's legal to do what Cohen's done. And I don't care what the subject was on. I don't think that was legal. And I don't see how it was legal.
You made a comment earlier about every time they do something, his approval ratings go up.
Mm-hmm.
People are tired of all the games, so let them drop their bombshell, and it'll continue to happen just like you said. His approval rating will go up, and we'll have him for 8 years.
Yeah, well, I'm not. The worst thing we can do is throw Trump under the bus for something he didn't even do while he was in election. They should have took Mueller and said, okay, collusion only. If I'm Trump, I'll interview on any collusion question, and that's it. I wouldn't even talk to Mueller. I wouldn't talk to him. The hell with him. That's all I can say, because these people are out of control in the deep state. They don't care about the law. They don't care about God. They don't care about the American citizens. They don't care what they're doing to this country. They don't care about you and me. They don't care. They live in a world that you and me would not understand, because I follow this stuff and don't understand how in the hell can Hillary Clinton and Obama get away with all the stuff they did. Obama sicked the IRS on people. This is the Justice Department under Barack Obama going against a guy, Donald Trump, who's a private citizen running for president. Obama should be arrested. It's not right. Anyway, we got to go. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. More to come. Don't go anywhere.
I doubt that phone will answer for you, Moon.
I ain't calling him anyway. Anyway, how y'all all? Welcome, Moon Griffon Show. Maybe we ought to get the governor on here. He can explain lawyer-client privilege. If you have a lawyer that you've been paying and been working with for a long time, how does that work? Is that lawyer out there can help us out? Because I did just talk to one. He didn't have time to get on air right now. It was funny. He said, I'm walking in court right now. I told him to tell a judge on the Moon Griffon show. Tell him to hell damn wait.
And Moon really did tell him that.
I did tell him that. He was falling out laughing, but I told him, tell a judge to wait. You're on the Moon Griffon show. But how does that work? Giuliani said that he could be disbarred, and I didn't even know if the guy may even tell me he could go to jail for doing that. Well, how does that work when it's Trump? Now, not only does this guy tape him and release him, Brandon, this is in an investigation. How does CNN get it? How does Lanny Davis, who's representing a client, get to go on CNN and MSNBC? I saw him on that with venereal disease, Stephanopoulos.
Oh, man.
I saw him with the venereal disease. I'm talking. If somebody came up to me and says, Mr. Griffon, I got bad news for you.
No.
A doctor and says, I said, what's wrong? You got Stephanopoulos. I'm going to be scared to death. Sounds like a venereal disease. I'm sorry. It sounds like something. Maybe not a venereal disease, but it sounds like something. So how does a lawyer, that Representative Trump, how does that work, folks? You guys out there, how does that really work? I don't know. It's not been done to me yet that I know of. It may have been done to me, I just don't know of it yet. But you got a lawyer, and you got that's a special client lawyer privilege that you have. You can tape them. You can give it to an investigation. After you give it to the investigation, that's supposed to be behind the scenes in public, then you can tell your lawyer, Lanny Davis, a leftist socialist, Bill Clinton Obama-nite, you know, I'm just trying to. How does that work, folks? And then you can go to CNN. Then you go to MSNBC. And you go, by the way, what is the venereal disease on?
ABC.
I know. I didn't think he was on one of the other channels. And you're able to go tell your story based on what you taped on. I don't know if that can be done anywhere else, but unless you're against Trump. Anything goes with Trump. They can say anything. They can do anything. Brandon, how many of them have put pictures of Trump being basically dead? The Denver Post ran a story of somebody. What was the story yesterday I told you about executing Trump or killing Trump? They had a letter to the editor.
Denver Post, yeah.
Letter to the editor. I'm not saying it didn't happen when Obama was president, but I never seen it. And I'm telling you, had it happened under Obama's president, the press would have been all over whoever did it. Then it comes to Donald Trump. It's anything goes. There's no lawyer-client privilege at all. You can tape them. You can play it. You can play it for everybody. Let me tell you, the McDougal girl and the Stormy Daniels thing with Trump. All this goes back to when he was on The Apprentice. Was it The Apprentice, Brandon? I never watched it.
It was. I used to love the show.
Let me be blunt. Never saw it in my life. Okay. I knew Trump was doing a show, but I knew all that after he was running for president because they would show bits and pieces when he was running. So McDougal and Stormy Daniels actually received money back for that because they wanted him off the TV. So, boom, they got money to go away. Now, here's what the two women have done. And we already know who they are and what they are. He became president. Now they wanted another payday. Now, if what I'm saying is true, and I believe it is true, does blackmail ever come into this? Does blackmail ever come into this? Even with Cohen. Does blackmail ever figure in with these women? No. Not from NBC, ABC, George Stephanopoulos. Not from them. They are credible. They become credible witnesses because they're against Trump. No other reason. They extorted the man once and got money. They tried to extort him now and said, I'll just go to the people. I think Stormy Daniels has been offered some big-time money to do a story and all that stuff. Probably given money, Brandon, because he's already been on TV. They were given money. McDougal and both of them. They wanted a big payday from Trump. So when does it become blackmail? Well, with Donald Trump, it doesn't. If it was Obama or Clinton, it'd become, well, not Clinton. He never met a woman he didn't want to have fun with. But when does it become blackmail? And the whole goal, remember, there's a percentage of people in this country who will reelect Trump again, and they know it. They're trying to get in that percentage to knock that down to hurt the president. This has nothing to do with the way he's running the country. Cohen should be disbarred so quick it shouldn't be funny. Lanny Davis should get disbarred for running to CNN and Stephanopoulos and them bringing these stories up. Where's Mueller saying you can't do that? Hold on, we are in the middle of a case right here. But yet they're not doing it because it's all against Trump. I run into friends of mine every now and then that didn't like Trump at the beginning, they still don't. But the only thing they watch is CNN, ABC, NBC. They watch the news every day. If I watched that every day, I probably wouldn't like Trump. I know better. I don't watch that crap. Fake news, boy, did he nail them with fake news. And the fake news is over and over and over again. He nailed them with fake news. And none of that surprises me. You realize, Brandon, I saw a poll, most popular president since, you got to go back, way back. One of the most popular presidents this time of his presidency than anybody. One of the most popular ever. You realize 88% of the Republicans like him now? And I think they like him from policy. They're not even listening to all this crap. But Brandon, there's going to be a bombshell. It's coming from Mueller. I think it comes before Kavanaugh is elected. I think it comes to try to affect the midterm elections. Whether it works or not, I don't know. Depends on how fooled the American people are. The whole thing is this. They want to impeach him. So they got to affect the election to be able to impeach him. Bottom line. The House winning, Brandon, does not impeach him. Well, they can impeach him. The Senate has the Senate has to try. And if the Republicans gain, I think they gain 2 or 3 seats in the Senate, and I think in the House they lose some, but they don't lose enough to lose the deal. But that's the goal. And then after that, what's going to happen if Ginsburg quits and Trump gets to put another one in there? See, folks, they don't want that to happen. They're doing anything and everything to stop that. And my friends, what Cohen's done, as a matter of fact, he should be disbarred and run out the country in my book. But that's just me. See you tomorrow. God bless.